Indiana Fever put to Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces. Good God. That's for Caitlin Clark. That's for the fans. That's for voting Caitlin Clark ninth as the ninth best guard in the league. That's for the fans again. That's for thinking you was going to come to Indiana and win today. That's for the 16 times you beat us before. That's for the game we blew in Vegas. The Indiana Fever put belt to ass on the Las Vegas Aces. Oh my God, I got to wear the belt.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Unless you just got cooked by the Indiana Fever on national television. Aja Wilson and Chelsea Gray went from reigning champs to deer in headlights, looking like contestants on a game show they didn't study for. Social media? In flames. Did they overlook the Fever? Did someone swap their Gatorade for NyQuil, or did Indiana just serve them a 5-course meal of humble pie? Extra intern, either way, this meltdown was uglier than a slot machine explosion in the middle of a buffet line.
To tell you, the Indiana Fever just put belt to ass, bruh, to the Las Vegas Aces, dog. Smash that like button for your boy, man. It is up and it's stuck, dog. I just got to keep it real, dog. What the Indiana Fever displayed today was simply amazing, bruh. I just got to be honest on so many levels. Excellent display of basketball. Guys, just lights out, bro. Lights out. Another big-time win without Caitlin Clark, and I'm just lost for words.
Aja Wilson might want to call in a team exorcist, because whatever possessed the Las Vegas Aces during that game needs to be cast out immediately. This was the same squad that used to strike fear league-wide, now fumbling the ball like it was covered in butter and gifting turnovers like they were handing out casino comps. It wasn't just a loss, it was a full-blown implosion. A crash course in how to unravel on live television. The Dynasty didn't just crack, it crumbled in real time.
When you were at that game just now, look, the Fever have been on a tear. They've won 2 in a row, a 25-point blowout of the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup final, and then 27 against the Aces in this one. And both of those games without Caitlin Clark. How is Indiana getting this done right now?
Look, I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away. But when you look at Indiana now, they've got so many weapons.
This wasn't just a rough shift. It was a full-blown office meltdown, complete with flames, chaos, and someone accidentally forwarding their trash talk to the entire company. The Aces weren't simply outplayed. They were thoroughly exposed, and not by some juggernaut, but by a team the media had been casually dismissing as Caitlin Clark and the supporting cast. Well, that supporting cast just showed up, clocked in, and bulldozed a so-called dynasty that used to radiate invincibility.
Coach, I asked Asia this as well, but what do you even say to your team after a showing like this one? I'd imagine, I know you believe that your team is kind of better than what you saw on the court tonight. What do you say after something like this?
There's not a whole lot to say. That's a complete lack of professionalism to come in here with that effort. Complete lack of focus. They played harder yesterday in practice by a lot. Wasn't even close. So I don't know how you step onto the floor with 20,000 people in the stands and perform like that.
And the best part? Caitlin Clark was posted up on the bench like a proud mom watching the squad handle business. No cape, no hero ball, just vibes and domination. Meanwhile, Aja Wilson, Chelsea Gray, and Kelsey Plum looked like they were stuck in slow motion, dragging through molasses. That signature Aces fire? Completely snuffed out. Their defense? AWOL. Offense? Like trying to light a bonfire with soggy matches. Their timing was so off, it felt like watching a symphony led by a broken metronome. Bricks were flying, eyes were wide, and confusion was the only thing they brought in full supply.
What a game. The Indiana Fever was flat out dominant today. Dominant from start to finish. From start to finish, it was dominance. Beat down. You Uncle Willie's son. Yeah, that's what it was today. The Indiana Fever blow out the Las Vegas Aces by nearly 30 points. They win by a final score of 81-54. That is how you stand on business.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe to the channel. And that scoreboard? Yikes. You almost had to double check if it was broken or if the Aces were really scoring their lowest total ever. Not just in a game this season. Ever. That's historic levels of yikes. Like, burn the tape and never speak of this again territory. If this was a movie, it would be a straight-to-DVD horror flick called The Disappearance of the Las Vegas Offense. Asia, who once looked like a walking bucket with a dash of domination, now looked like someone who just realized she left the oven on at home. Chelsea Gray, the floor general? More like the lost GPS signal. And Plum, once the spark plug, played like the battery died somewhere in the second quarter. Every shot felt like a prayer, and every possession ended with the collective sound of Vegas fans weeping into their rhinestone jerseys. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever, they weren't just winning, they were moonwalking across the Aces' grave. It was like watching the younger sibling finally beat the older one at basketball after years of getting dunked on. The Fever played with the kind of confidence that screamed, "We are no longer here for your highlight reels. We're making our own." And they didn't need Caitlin to do it. Nope. She sat there, all cool and calm, sipping metaphorical tea, while the rest of the squad dismantled the so-called Dynasty in real time.
Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston led the scoring, 25 and 20 points respectively. Natasha Howard followed up her Commissioner's Cup MVP performance by scoring 11 and grabbing 10 boards for another double-double. Caitlin Clark, who has now missed 4 games in a row, has seen her teammates respond by winning 3 of the last 4 games. And over that span, the Fever have averaged 81 points per game and giving up only 71 points per game. The Fever are now a game above 500 at 9-8 with momentum and a long homestand. Fever head coach Stephanie White has stated they will not rush Clark's return as she does not want this injury to linger and come.
And let's talk about that dynasty for a second. The Aces came into the season with all the glitz, all the glamour, and all the arrogance of a team that believed their only real opponent was boredom. Now, they're sitting below the Indiana Fever in the standings. You read that right. The Fever, the rebuilding, rookie-led, maybe next year team, is ahead of the Las Vegas Aces. That's not a plot twist. That's a Shakespearean tragedy wrapped in a blooper reel. This is a team that was supposed to be chasing a three-peat. Instead, they're chasing answers. Like, what happened to that defensive juggernaut identity? Where did the transition buckets go? Why does every possession feel like they're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded? It's like the basketball god said, let's humble this team real quick, and just pulled the plug. The chemistry is off, the spacing is gone, and the body language? Whew! The only thing lower than their scoring total was the energy on that bench. No fire, no rallying, just stunned silence and occasional head shakes like they were watching a crime scene unfold. And yet, across the court, the Fever were playing like they'd been waiting their whole careers for this exact moment. With Caitlin on the bench looking like a proud CEO whose startup just IPO'd, the rest of the Fever squad balled out like they had something to prove. And they did.
I want you to look me in the face, right in the eyes. The Indiana Fever are arriving right on schedule, right on time. Caitlin Clark not in the lineup, handling the business anyway. The Indiana Fever put belt to ass on the Las Vegas Aces. Don't go to Indiana, some shit might go down, was once said by Asia Wilson. And she was correct. This was a beat 'em down. The Aces held to a grand total of 54 points as the defense carries over from the Commissioner's Cup game, and the Indiana Fever have the league.
They proved that they're not a one-woman team. They proved they can lock down, run plays, and light up the scoreboard all on their own. And most importantly, they proved that this season isn't about surviving. It's about shifting the entire WNBA narrative. Because if Vegas was the gold standard, then Indiana just walked in, broke the mold, and rewrote the blueprint. You don't just hold the defending champs to their lowest score in history without sending a message. The Fever said, "We don't care about your banners, your all-stars, or your Netflix documentary. This court belongs to us now." And what's wild is that Caitlin didn't have to lift a finger. She wasn't even in for the game, and yet her team pulled a stunt this wild. She sat there, front row, watching her teammates torch the Aces like she was attending a bonfire in her honor. That's how you know a culture shift is happening, when the superstar doesn't even play and the team still looks like a well-oiled machine, while the defending champs look like a group project where nobody did their part. So now, the Aces are 8-9, a losing record. For them. From title favorites to mid-travel maybes, the aura's cracked. The intimidation factor? Gone. Teams aren't afraid to face Vegas anymore. They're circling those games in red and licking their chops, because now they smell blood in the neon water.
Asia, I guess obviously you guys have been going through some ups and downs. Do you feel like in tonight's game, did things sort of go awry just defensively? It just seemed like you guys weren't yourselves defensively, and it kind of made the rest of the game difficult.
We haven't been ourselves in a minute when it gets to the defensive side of basketball, and that is something that we have to really figure out because offense is going to be cracked here and there. That's just part of the game. The defense has to be something that we have to really create.
Asia and crew are going to have to take a long look in the mirror and figure out who they are, because right now, they're playing like a tribute act to their former selves. The swagger has turned to sloppiness, the dominance has turned to doubt, and the questions are stacking up faster than their turnovers. Are they tired? Distracted? Overconfident? Is this just a rough patch or a full-blown implosion in slow motion? Whatever it is, the WNBA is watching. And so is Caitlin, who probably hasn't stopped smiling since the final buzzer. It's a whole new league now. The Fever are rising. The Aces are scrambling, and the basketball world just collectively realized that maybe, just maybe, Vegas isn't the safe bet anymore. And here's the part that really stings. Asia Wilson actually played a good game. She didn't disappear, she didn't freeze, she wasn't the problem. But unfortunately for her, the rest of the Aces were out there hosting a group therapy session mid-game instead of playing professional basketball. She showed up, ready to work, dropping buckets and putting in effort like it still mattered. But trying to carry this version of the Aces is like trying to win a drag race with a flat tire and 3 teammates yelling contradictory GPS directions. There was no support, no rhythm, no trust, just Asia versus 5, and sometimes even her own bench.
Guys, when did Indiana Fever turn into the best defensive team in the NBA? When? I mean, after that celebration from the Commissioner's Cup, we all thought they were going to come out here a little bit hangover. I mean, their defensive prowess has gone up 100%. In the first half, we have Aces down 22 points. We have only beaten Las Vegas Aces one time in 9 years. For those who do not know that statistic, we've only beaten them once in 9.
She'd look around for help, for someone to step up, for literally anyone to remember what offense is supposed to look like. Crickets. Chelsea Gray looked like she accidentally walked into the wrong arena. Kelsey Plum was doing cardio. Jackie Young might as well have been on a silent retreat. It wasn't just about shots not falling. It was the eerie emptiness of team chemistry evaporating before our very eyes. No huddles, no hustle, no heart. This isn't the Aces we were sold. This is a team in full-blown identity crisis, spiraling through confusion while their leader, Asia, plays solo piano in a band that's completely ghosted the concert. Meanwhile, across the court, the Indiana Fever were doing exactly what the Aces used to do, only better. There's no me-ball here. There's no ego tripping. There's no walking highlight reel looking for solo shine. The Fever play for each other. They move the ball like they trust one another. They defend like they're protecting family. When one dives for a loose ball, the other 5 are already moving in sync. It's not just strategy, it's soul.
So today, lads, we're going to be talking about Becky Hammon, who seems to be losing her damn mind. So, we saw today the Fever absolutely demolished the Aces. An Aces team that is below 500. And still, to this day, we have yet to see. We have yet to see whether or not the Indiana Fever we've yet to see whether or not they can beat a team above 500. They have not beaten a team above 500 in a game that counted without Caitlin Clark.
And the best part? They're not a one-woman team. Not even close. Sure, Caitlin Clark might be the face, but this squad has layers. The kind of layers that win games when the cameras aren't looking. Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Nalisa Smith. These women aren't just role players, they're silencers. They shut down narratives, then light up the scoreboard. No egos, just execution. So when the Aces looked up and realized they were getting cooked again by the Fever, the disbelief was thick enough to cut with a knife. How could this be happening? They were supposed to be the elite, the vets, the team that teaches lessons, not the ones getting schooled. But Indiana didn't care. Indiana didn't flinch. They just played ball. Beautiful, collective, unselfish, smart, joyful, deadly ball. And that's the true headline here. The Fever are not done proving people wrong. If you blink, they'll beat you. If you underestimate them, they'll embarrass you. And if you still think it's just about Caitlin, you clearly haven't been paying attention. They are here as a unit. They win together. They defend together. They storm the court together. And judging by the way the Aces were scrambling, this team might be building something real, something terrifying for the rest of the league.
0. The Indiana Fever have won. They won by a gazillion points, 81-54, over the feared Las Vegas Aces. By the way, Becky Hammon, she may literally smother Nalisa Smith in her sleep with a pillow if she can get to her after this game. Nalisa Smith set basketball back 1,400 years tonight. I mean, seriously. Back to 1776. I mean, wow. Wow, it was bad. It was bad, but it was a great overall performance. What have I been saying, folks? When you've got a big 3, you've got to have a big game from 2 of the 3.
What's wild is how hard it still is for some people to accept that the Fever are legit. That every time they win, it's shocking. Every win is treated like a glitch in the Matrix. But guess what? That glitch is the new reality. This team isn't squeaking by. They're earning it. Game after game, statement after statement. And now, they've got a better record than the mighty Las Vegas Aces. Let that sink in. And yet, every time Indiana proves the doubters wrong, another batch pops up with new excuses. Oh, the Aces were off. Oh, the refs were bad. Oh, Caitlin got lucky. Please. They're coming from cohesion. And the Aces, by contrast, look like 5 solo acts who accidentally got booked at the same time and forgot to rehearse. A'ja Wilson's talent is not in question. She's still that woman. But even she can't drag this team to victory if the rest of the crew is playing musical chairs with the concept of effort. Because when the Fever punched them in the mouth, there was no response. When they got stopped at the rim, again. There was no adjustment. When they fell behind, there was no fire, just resignation. A heavy, tired resignation.
But Becky Hammon is finna pull the same thing. Oh my God, the referees just let the Fever do whatever. Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, they're playing too physical. They're getting too physical. When the Indiana Fever used to be the team that everybody beat up on, but now, since they done kind of got a little aggressive and returned the favor, now y'all want to bitch about them actually doing what y'all do to them. What they God, this is so fun.
That's the difference. The Fever are hungry, starving even. They look like a team that's been forced to eat criticism for breakfast and now wants to return the favor to the entire league. And the Aces? They look full. Full of press clippings, full of past trophies, full of "we'll figure it out." But this league doesn't wait. This league moves fast. And if you're not locked in every night, someone like the Indiana Fever will slide right past you and take your seat at the top. So the story goes on. Another win for Indiana. Another lesson served. Another moment where everyone expected them to crumble, and they responded with unity, focus, and that little extra something that can't be taught. Call it chemistry, call it grit, call it team basketball done right. Whatever it is, it's working. And now the Fever are climbing, while the Aces are, well, trying to remember what winning even feels like. The script is flipped. The mighty have stumbled, and the team no one believed in? They're out here rewriting the ending, one shock win at a time. If you enjoyed leaving a like and subscribing, more videos are on the screen now.